Hi guys, this is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be making this card with an awesome underwater background that I created using a Gelli Plate. This video is part of the Card Hoppin' video series, and the theme for this month's projects is gel plates and friendship. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm using today is a gel press and a brayer. That's part of this hop that we're doing, and I'll be quite honest with you, I am a novice when it comes to this. I have had some good panels come out, but I think part of my problem, and you'll have to tell me if you have this too, is that I want it to be more perfect. Ooh, this is pretty paint. This is also going to be one of the first times that I'm using paints on this. The ones that I've done in the past have all been using my distress inks or distressed oxides, and they've worked out pretty good too. But I thought I'd give this a shot to see if I could get some different results. Plus, I've got a bunch of acrylic paint, you know, some Craft Smart cheapo paint from Michael's that I haven't used. I bought a set, it's been quite a few years ago, that I bought all this paint, mostly because I was doing paper mache for Halloween at the time. So I'm going to just start off with let me just tell you a little bit about what I'm going to do. I'm planning on using a few stencils with this. Now these are three, excuse me, 3 ocean theme stencils that I've had in my stash for a while. I don't know where they came from, which is probably why I didn't realize until probably about 2 weeks ago that these things are actually layering stencils, which is really cool. So we've got the nice little bubbles, we've got some ocean current or ocean waves, and then we've got what I'm thinking of as could be either some additional waves, an accent kind of thing, or it could be seaweed. So anyway, I'm going to try using those 3 with my gel press and brayer today, and we will see how it goes. I've also got a bin of hot soapy or warm soapy water off to the side, so I'm putting each of the stencils into that to basically soak some of the paint and such off, and then that's going to make it easier to clean later. So next I'm going to, let's see how this looks. I'm going to go ahead and put a panel. This one is actually a longer panel that I already had pre-cut and I hadn't used yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull it out, put it down, and see what kind of a pull we get from it. I have no idea at this point if this is going to work well or not. So we shall see. And you do want to make sure that you rub it good, kind of burnish it down to try to get all of that paint to come up. And I'm thinking that when I did the bubbles and that I blotted them off, I probably shouldn't have done that because I have a feeling that the bubbles are not going to show up at all. But I have a plan for that. Okay, so that does look kind of interesting. It's not really the look I was going for, but you know. And it looks like none of the lighter colors showed up at all. So I'm going to go ahead and first I'm not going to waste any of this paint I've got sitting here. I'm just going to put that over the top. Add in some light blue. Okay, that does look a little bit more oceany, which is good. Okay, and then let's see how those look. Again, putting my paper down and burnishing. Looks like I've got a little bit of paint on my hand because some of it's going onto the back. That is okay. Okay, so now we have some subtle little bubbles there. To be honest, all of these colors are kind of going together because there's not really a lot of contrast there. So looks good for a an ocean background, but I think I want a little bit more. I think I want a little bit more contrast there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this guy back down. Now let's see how that looks on our panel. And I had a lot of that paint kind of go seep under, so I think I had too much paint this time. But it does definitely add some contrast. And you can still see, I think, some of those little light bubbles in the back. And so that now we've got that lighter background, we've got some of this darker color coming to the front. And I think I need another thing to do a bit more contrast, this time on the opposite end of the scale. I want it to be a light color. So what I'm going to come in next with is the bubble stencil again. I cleaned that up. And I had another one of those paints that I got at, I think it was Hobby Lobby on sale, and it is Gilt. It's basically a gold from Dina Wakley. Ooh, I like the look of that gold. So let's see how that turns out on our panel. I like that. So I'm going to say that this part is done. So now what we need to do is clean this mess up and then turn this into a card.
So at some point after getting all of the stamping done for the seahorse, I embossed it off camera. I don't know what happened there or why I didn't turn the camera back on. I think I thought that it was on, and then when I thought I was turning it off, I was actually turning it back on. So I had this long period that I just cut out of the video that included me going over to my scan and cut and scanning in this cute little seahorse image and cutting out a mask from some cardstock. Since the background is so dark, I wanted to put my focal image as being lighter, but I don't want it to be stark white paper. So what I'm doing is I'm basically creating a little halo around the little seahorse. And I'm going in with some green ink. This one, I believe, is Cracked Pistachio. And then I went in with some either peacock feathers, or I think this was actually Mermaid Lagoon as the darker shade around the edges. And then I'm going in with a circle die. This is the Wonky Stitch circle die from MFT, and that does create a little circle focal image. I did decide to go back in with some blue ink and kind of distress the edges a little bit to kind of make it a little better differentiated, I guess. And then I'm just going to put a sentiment on the front of that little panel. There are a couple of things I would change, I think, if I were to go back and redo this card. First would be that circle needs to be darker. It doesn't need to be that big of a contrast. And then I needed to do something different with the sentiment. I tried embossing it in white ink over some Catherine Pooler pixie dust because I'm having some issues with some clear embossing ink. They're just not wanting to work well for me. And it came out okay, but it is a little bit lost in that lighter color. And now that it's all done, I can't really go back and redo it. Okay, actually I did go back and fix that. I went over it with some darker ink and it made the white pop just a little bit more, and you'll be able to see that in the final photos. I did decide I wanted a little bit more color on there, so I'm using some more of that Dina Wakley gold paint, and I'm adding a few little seahorses to the card. I don't know why I haven't used this before. I am loving that gold paint. So what I decided to do next is just add a little bit of gold all around the edges of the main panel, and now I'm just going to adhere everything down with foam tape. The panel that I created using my gel press is a little warped, and the foam tape's going to help it stay in place. So I'm just putting some foam tape all the way around and making sure I put some in the middle so that we don't have any saggy middles on the card. Then I'm going to add some foam tape also to that little circle. Now what I decided to do this time is, so I don't waste too much of my foam tape, is I'm going to actually curve it around. So I'm taking the release paper off of both sides and putting it down onto the panel and then just bending it slightly so I've got a circle all the way around. And then I'll put a little extra in the middle because we don't want a saggy middle on this one either. To help me get that main panel lined up right, I'm pulling down just the corners of that release paper, so I've got plenty of foam tape that's still got the release paper on there. That way I can position it right where I want it and then press down on the parts that have got the sticky showing. So I'll just press that down and then just pull those little tabs and everything is on there pretty much perfect. Then I can position my other little panel, that little circle with the seahorse, on the front of the card, and that's almost done. Decided to go back and add a few little silver baubles. I have no idea where I got these from. I think it was from Hobby Lobby, but I don't have the box anymore. So I'm just adhering those little guys down with some art glitter glue. That finishes up this project for today. Thanks for dropping in, and don't forget to smash that like button and leave a comment down below to let me know what you think of this technique. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to consider subscribing and hit the little notification bell so that you never miss one of my videos. Be sure to check out the rest of the hop because I know there will be a lot of inspirational projects for you to see. Here are some other videos that I know you'll enjoy. Thanks again for dropping by, and remember, if I can make it, you can too.